Let's talk about a really crazy subject which I was avoiding for a long time. Welcome to my first video on religion. This is a subject I avoided talking to with people for a really long time because I love being friendly with people. I love having really nice, profound, deep conversations, and I do not talk about politics. That was my rule. And not talk about religion because it's impossible to say something and have the person agree with you because religion has so many different viewpoints. But let me right now tell you my personal viewpoint on a specific religion called Christianity. And for those of you who are diehard Christians, you might want to click away. I don't want to piss any people off. This is my personal opinion. Does not mean it's true. Does not mean it's not true. So if you like what I'm talking about, enjoy it. If you don't like what I'm talking about, feel free to watch a different video because this is just one aspect of my mentality. This video was inspired by a guy named P something. I'm not gonna say his full name. He's an old friend from a Slack group, and he messaged me on Telegram telling me, whoa, bro, I gotta warn you. Here, you're about to get in some dangerous waters, you're getting into spirituality, you're learning about self-development, and you're wrong. You're going down the wrong path. I've been there, I done that, I got burned. And all these people who are you know, these big spiritual enlightened masters, all of them are frauds. All of them are either secretly interested in power, sex, or money. And they're gonna juice you out and lie to you and manipulate you and be like a parasite and manipulate you and just get what they want, using all these big words, and that they sound enlightened, they sound smart, but they're not. Now, I agree with him up to a certain point. And this is where I really strongly disagree. And he mentioned how, okay, yes, there's many literature, many books, and many ways you can study this, but like they're all fraud. And this is the only and the true way to do this is to follow Joshua or Yahshua, or his current modern name, Jesus Christ, and you read the Bible, and he is the Lord of Lords, Kings of Kings, and unless you bend down to him, you're going the wrong path. Now, I agree with this up to a certain point. I do agree that once upon a time, a guy named Joshua, or Yeshua, or however you say it, his original name, did walk the planet and was an amazing, enlightened, one of the highest possible levels of enlightenment on this planet. He pretty much, he like tips the scale. Like if there's a scale from 1 to 1,000 of enlightenment, in this human body form, he's at 1,000. Like he's the guy. And I do think what he said is very smart. Unfortunately, here's where I disagree with modern religion and with my friend who is a diehard Bible reader. Now, I think Bible is a great material. I think it'll get you really advanced and you'll learn about what it takes to be a human in the best way possible, but not in its current form. First of all, it's something that's many thousands of years old, and if you just take Google Translate, take an English song or something, translate it to German, and Google Translate is pretty accurate. It's accurate than most people can translate, more accurate than most people here. And you take that German text that you just generated, put it back and reverse translation and translate it back into English, what you will get is gibberish. It'll make no sense. There's an old game kids used to play here in Serbia. I'm not sure if the same game exists in the other parts of the world. It's called Deaf Telephones. You pretty much line up like 10 people in line, and you whisper something to one person. That person whispers something to the next person, and the other person, but nobody is allowed to hear it. If somebody else hears it, you lose. So you have to whisper it just loud enough that the person hears it, but not as loud that nobody else can hear it except the person you're whispering to. And by the time the message gets across to 10 people, guess what? It's not even close. It's not even remotely close. It makes no sense. Not one thing, not one word remains the same. Not one word. It's not a single word is left of the original text. And this is where I believe, unfortunately, the modern day Bible is very diluted, and the modern day religion. I believe that any modern day religion is diluted. Now, this is gonna offend lots of people, and yes, this is my opinion, does not mean it's true, but just take it as an objective opinion that's coming from me. So what if every single religion was right when it started, then over the years, with every single translation, every single copy, because a book rots away after 50 or 100 years. You have to rewrite it or copy it. Before there were no computers, you couldn't just scan it and print it. So people are like copying by hand. So these books were copied by hand, over a couple generations. And I don't think you're reading the Bible in its original language. Was it Hebrew or something? I don't know. Don't quote me on this. You're reading it in English or your local language. And I'm sure many languages which were used thousands of years ago are extinct. Even if they're saying that they're the same language, it's nothing same. It's not even the same. So just look at British English and American English. Sometimes you'll get a misunderstanding, or Irish, or whatever, or Australian English, right? It's the same language, but it's so different. What if, even if English existed 1,000 or 2,000 years ago, would it be remotely the same that it is today? It's like, can you really get the original message across from a text that's been, first of all, translated like 20 or like at least three times, maybe more, maybe 5, 10, I'm not an expert here, then copied who knows how many times to keep the book from not rotting away, or because it wasn't engraved in stone, it was written on a piece of paper which rots away after a couple hundred years, right? And number 3, the language, even if it was the same, changes over so many years. Just look at the difference from American and British English. It happened in a couple hundred years. Look at how major, drastic the difference is. So my belief is that Jesus Christ, when he walked the planet, was like the speaker of truth. Buddha, Muhammad, and all these great beings, they're probably the best human possible in their time, and the most enlightened human possible. Most likely, since there's major religions following them. They probably got something right. So I'm sure these guys were super amazing human beings and spoke the truth and owned the truth and nothing but the truth. However, at this point, we cannot speak to them in person and feel their energy, understand their words, because words are like what, 20% of the actual language? Like, where's the body language? Where's the eye contact? Where's the face expressions, the energy? Because words are just a tiny fraction of the communication. So keep that in mind as well. So unless you spoke to that person literally 2,000 years ago and met him, don't have to shake his hand, at least seen like a lecture by him, we're in a group where you overheard somebody talking to him, you can't get the original message across. And I'm sad that the Bible and all the modern day literature of most religions is very diluted, and it makes me sad. I wish I could meet Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, and any of these enlightened, amazing guys behind these huge religions, or any amazing being, any saint. However, what if every generation has their own saint? That's my question to you. And that's my current path in this world is can I find a modern day saint and talk to them in person? Because what's the point of reading a book that's just words? What's the point of reading a book that's just words, that's translated, that's like many years old in a different language, in an older version of the same language? What's the point? You have to experience it. Unless you experience it in person, I don't think you have it. So I think it's better to talk to somebody that's like, I don't know, half as enlightened as Jesus or Buddha, but is present on this planet, walking this planet right now, and you can get his entire message without lost in translation, meet him in person. I think it's better than reading some old material. Because the Bible is, if the Bible was put on a scale from 1 to 1,000 of how, on its original form of 1,000, I believe, not a linear scale. We're talking about a logarithmic scale here. I believe it's like less than 500 on a logarithmic scale. So that's not linear. That's way different. And there's a book that confirms it. There's a book called Power versus Force, which does talk about many modern day versions of original, enlightening, amazing books. Talks about many spiritual and many religious texts and how they've fallen from the original meaning over many years. So the 500 number I mentioned right now comes from Power versus Force. It's an amazing book, but not an easy one. It's quite a hard book. So enjoy it if you want. It's something that was made recently and it was written in English. So even if it's at half as enlightening as the Bible in its original form, it's still in its original form. And I'm just sad for the fact that I not have access to the language nor the original text of the Bible. I wish I did. Thank you guys for watching.